Welcome back, everyone. So it's about 11 o'clock at night and I'm just completely inspired to work on the layout. So here we are. All right, what we're gonna do is we're going to take some tracing paper. It's very thin. Let me show you. Very thin paper. And we're gonna use it to make a pattern of this center section here. Now, I want there to be a bit of storytelling here. So some of the sidewalks are going to be brick. And then the section in here, it will be concrete sidewalks and it'll look slightly newer. I think it's important to create many different textures in the layout or diorama. It just gives it interest. For example, we have a cobblestone road here, and maybe this up here was also a cobblestone road at one time, and they tore it out and poured concrete. So I'm attempting to create a little bit of storytelling with this. Okay, so back to the tracing paper. We're creating a template. So take your fingernail and go right along the edge of the street, the concrete that we put in. And then I have a very sharp number 2 pencil and I'm going right along the edge. I probably should have taped this down, but we'll just try very hard not to move it. Yeah, you can take the little thumbtacks or push pins and pin it down in place. You want to get it exact or as close as possible. That road is raised, so it's actually pretty easy. Okay, let's go cut this out. Okay, here it is, all cut out. We're gonna make sure that it fits. Okay, I gotta cut away a little bit more, right on the corner there. You know, while we have this here, let's put it back in place and draw where the buildings are and the sidewalks. Now I have this little template. This is the width of the road and the width of a sidewalk on each side. So this helps me to mark where the roads are going to go. Well, as you can see, it is all cut out of pink styrofoam. And we even have a curb right along the edge of the road. And then these two areas in here will be grass, and that's where the trees go. And then we have our structure that sits right here. All right, next we'll get this painted to look like concrete. And then I'll probably go in with a sharp number 2 pencil and draw cracks in some of the concrete. Then we can take it over to the layout. We're going to paint this with chalk paint, and it is called Cocoon. So I just bought this at Michael's craft store, and I'm sure you can order it online. After that dries, we'll probably do a light wash, a lot of water, and just a little bit of slate gray. And then we'll come in with some pigments and just add a little bit of dirt and weathering to it. Okay, the chalk paint is all dry. Now we're going to take slate gray and we're going to add a lot of water to it and create a wash. Maybe let's add a little bit of neutral gray. And you don't even have to mix it up to an even consistency. Now I'm using a pigment from Ammo, and it's called concrete. And a little goes a long way. Okay, then we'll also use City Dark Dust. Let me finish up with the concrete. All right, let's get a smaller brush for the City Dark Dust. Now we're going to take something even darker, Farm Dark Earth, and we're going to do the edge of the curb to really add some dirt from tires and exhaust. Now be very careful when using Farm Dark Earth because it's dark and you can easily overdo it. Now I brought our cone shack over to make sure that the concrete matches. And as you can see, it matches really well. And that's simply because I always use Cocoon as a base, and then I put a wash of slate gray over it. Now, it doesn't matter the combination. It's always going to be similar. And it's okay if it's off a little bit because all the concrete on your layout wasn't poured at the same exact time. So it's okay if it's off a shade, or if you add a darker gray like neutral gray or gray sky. I think as long as your base is Cocoon, if the gray isn't perfectly matched, it's okay, because like I said, every area should be a little bit different because the concrete was poured at different times. I want to quick show you just how much this looks like real concrete. I'm really hoping that the camera is picking that up. And the reason it looks so much like concrete is the texture of the pink foam. It really looks to scale. Okay, we're going to try something new, and I'll explain why we're doing this in a minute. But first, we're going to make a sort of a dirt paste. If I can get the lid off. We don't need a lot, and you can see I've got some dirty gray water in there. Okay, this is raw umber. Any brown would work. It would help if this container had a flat bottom, but it's raised a little bit in the center and it makes it hard to mix, but we're mixing it. Okay, stir it up so there's no white showing. Then I'm going to add real dirt to it. Now, because we're adding styrofoam in here and there's a little bit of a thickness to it, we need to build this area up where the grass goes and the trees. So as you can see, I just took some scrap styrofoam, same thickness as what we used, and built a little template to put our dirt in. And you'll notice I took wooden dowels and I cut them about the same thickness so I know where our trees go. Okay, well, as you can see, it's in place and we just have to let it dry now. Okay, let's add a little bit of green to this. Now it's fall, so there's not going to be a lot of grass, or the grass is going to be turning a brown color. And there's not going to be a lot of grass underneath the trees. Now later we'll glue some leaves after we get everything in place. And this is half water, half glue. Okay, first, this is blended turf. And then we've got burnt grass. Now, we'll take some of this . I'll zoom in and give you a closer look in a little while, but I've been adding weeds along the curb, between the curb and the street, in here, and I'm using 3 different types. That is the key to realism, is using multiple colors and shades to create layers. Same with anything we do in modeling. We're always talking about layering with textures, with color, and the same goes with doing scenery work. Let's get an idea of what this is going to look like. Hopefully this pops right into place. Now let's add some leaves. Now we don't want to cover everything up because we want to leave room for some trash and detail parts back here. So I'm using the same mixture that I made when I made my trees. So if you go back and watch that video, you'll see how I made these leaves. I could spend hours doing this. Okay, let's grab the trees and put them in place. So my son and I designed some traffic lights and some lamp posts. We designed these in the computer and then 3D printed them. They are available on the website right now at jasonjensentrains.com. Next, we're going to paint these, and I just sprayed a gray primer on these. And I'm going to spray a yellowish orange on these, and we'll spray these with turquoise. I don't want to get overspray on either one of them, so these. Okay, those are all dry. I really hope you can see all the detail in those. They're just super nice. And I want to mention that airbrushing is very easy. I keep this right next to my workstation, and then I just simply get myself 2 containers of water. The first one, I dunk the entire airbrush in it and run it and get as much paint out as I can. Then I take the next one and get some in the airbrush cup and then just run it through. Now this one, I took the back off and took the needle out. I just washed it in the water, put it back in, sprayed it until it ran clear, and that's it. It's quick. Now I'm using a wash. It is Trax wash, and this is an enamel. It's not acrylic. It is not water-based. So put a little bit on your palette. Dip your brush into the thinner, and then simply paint around the cracks or the details. Now the reason I'm using this instead of just adding water to, say, a brown acrylic is that the brown acrylic, when it dries, you'll see a definite line. It won't blend into the yellow color. You would get a hard edge. You do not. I'll take the camera off and give you a closer look at this. Now we're using a dry brush paint, light metal. So I don't know if anyone can notice, but my light bulbs burned out, and I bought some LED bulbs that are white, and it's super bright. Hopefully it doesn't affect the picture too much. Hopefully it actually makes it better. But I have 2 lamps on each side, and those still have regular bulbs, and now they look really yellow to me. So I may, if I like the look of this, I may buy some more bulbs and replace the 2 on the side. Okay, let's do a little bit of sponging. You want to go very, very light, very soft touch. Well, as you can see, I started my lampposts. I use mostly desert turquoise and put just a very small drop of green in it. Then after that dried, again I did the Trax wash to bring out the details, create some shadows. Next I'm going to do very light dry brushing of Sea Breeze for the highlights. Then we'll just paint the glass an off-white color, and we'll be done. I'm using a very, very soft brush. It's brand new. I'll do the rest of these and then take the camera off and give you a closer look. So I sent pictures of the lamps over to my friend Doug, and he suggested putting a gloss coat over the glass area. And so I took some gloss from Ammo. And then I mixed a couple drops of gold metal. Now for even more detail, I 3D printed some pigeons. Alright, so I just sprayed a gray primer on them. Now, I'm just going to take some off-white and put a little bit of off-white on the body. Trying to leave the head gray. You know, I should probably pull up some photo reference on my phone. Okay, so it looks like their neck and head is gray and their tail feathers are kind of gray. Okay, I'm switching to a different brush. That one just wasn't, it was too small. Oh yeah, that's better. So I've started with the back row, and then I'll paint one or two, break them off, and paint the underside, then go to the next one, paint it, break it off, paint the underside. Seems to be the easiest way to do this. So I just painted the back of them there. Now carefully snap those off, and we'll paint the underside. Now really, these are so tiny. You could spray paint these all white and leave it, or spray paint them all white and just take some gray paint and paint their heads. I like using the brush because it gives it some value. Almost makes it look like little feathers. Now I believe there's 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 24 pigeons. And we've got a couple that are, well, you'll get 4 that are single, 4 that are doubles. The birds are right next to each other. And then you've got another set of 4, but those are a grouping of 3 pigeons sitting together. So they're not just all individual birds. Okay, I painted this row and didn't break any of them off. You know, I'll put these up on my website if anyone wants to buy these. I know some people don't want to go to that extreme of detail, but but some may. It's fun. Like I said, you could just spray paint these white, put some gray on the neck and head, and be done with it. Wow, this is getting very exciting. I do want to point out that none of the figures or lampposts or traffic light are glued in place. We need to get some sidewalks put in first and build up some foundation back here and get structures in place. Then we'll get those things glued down permanently. And you may have noticed that the figures are on a little square piece of acetate. And I do that because I can then move the figures around and look at it from different angles just to get the figures exactly where I want them. And then once I'm happy, I can break off the acetate and glue the figure in place. Now, all of the details that we painted today are going to be on the website. I will have a new kit coming out soon, so you may want to wait to order detail parts after a kit comes out just to save on shipping. All right, well, that's all we have. I don't want this video to get too long, so thank you all so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. All right, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.